I'm George Simons, co-founder of SoloSuit, and today I'm going to show you folks in Minnesota how to respond to a debt collection lawsuit. Let's get going. First thing you need to know is that in Minnesota you only have 21 days to respond to the lawsuit before you automatically lose your case. If you don't want to lose your case, then you got to respond by filing an answer document in court in Minnesota within that 21-day deadline. This deadline was recently updated in 2020. You can find it in Minnesota Rules of Civil Procedure 12.01. There's 4 steps to responding to a debt lawsuit in Minnesota. I'm going to go over all 4 steps today in this video just to help you guys out. First step is to create the answer document. Second is to respond to each allegation in the complaint. Third is assert your affirmative defenses. And fourth is to file the answer with the court and serve the plaintiff. I'm going to go over all 4 steps. Before we get going, I just want to let you know that SoloSuit.com can actually do all this for you. At this point in the video, a lot of people just go over to SoloSuit.com and they use our service to respond to the lawsuit. All right, it just takes about 15 minutes. We ask you some questions, you give us some answers. We take your answers to generate your response document, and then we have an attorney, professional attorney, review your document for you, and then we file it for you in the court in Minnesota. We get it all taken care of for you. We have a great track record. Well over half of all of our customers either get their case dismissed or they settle the case for less after filing an answer. If you use SoloSuit, you will very likely literally save yourself thousands of dollars by settling for less or just getting your case dismissed. Then you won't even have to pay a penny on the debt. That's a pretty great move. You don't need to take my word for it. One of our customers, George Harris. I'm George Simons, our customer George Harris, another great George. He left us an awesome 5-star review on Google. He said, "When an aggressive debt collection law firm served me with a summons, even after I had requested and they had failed to provide verification of the debt, I needed an answer document quickly. I came across SoloSuit. The service was quick, fast, and on time." I think that means we're like super fast. "Now the collection firm has to put up or shut up. Thanks, Team SoloSuit." No, thank you, George. From one George to another, thank you. Step 1, create your answer document to respond to the summons. You know you're being sued in Minnesota if you receive this. This is a summons document that tells you that you're being sued. Usually you'll also receive a complaint document that looks like this. This tells you why you're being sued. So to respond to these documents, you need to file an answer document, capital A answer document, within the 21-day deadline, right? An answer document isn't just like a little note that you scroll out in cursive on a piece of paper and send to the court. No, it's a professional legal document that needs to be filed and formatted properly. All right, so you start off by making your answer document by listing like the personal and important contact information for the 2 parties, all right? So that's like your name, your address, probably an email to reach you at, also the name and address for the plaintiffs and the plaintiff's attorneys. That's like some of the basic court info. You can also list some of the basic case info. You should also list the name of the court as well as the case number and other important identifying information. That brings us to step 2, answer each item in the complaint. So the complaint has a bunch of numbered paragraphs in it. And these are allegations. I might say like, defendant lives at 4013 South Street, Minnesota, right? Or I might say like, defendant's name is John Smith, or defendant owes plaintiff $10,000, right? So those are all allegations. Each one of the paragraphs will have a number at the beginning of the paragraph. In the answer document, you need to respond to each one of those numbered paragraphs. And you have 3 ways to respond to each one of those paragraphs. You can respond by saying you admit that paragraph, you deny it, or you deny for lack of knowledge. If you admit something, it's basically you're saying you agree with everything in that paragraph, right? So you might admit a paragraph that says defendant's name is John Smith if John Smith is actually your name. You deny a paragraph if you disagree with anything in that paragraph. If you disagree with anything, you can deny that paragraph. So like if the paragraph says like your name is John L. Smith, but you actually don't have a middle name, and L isn't the middle initial for your name, then you can deny that paragraph because you disagree with something in the paragraph. Also, if like a paragraph says defendant owes plaintiff $10,000, and then you might want to deny that, because if you admit it, you'll probably lose your case, because that's basically what the whole case is about. Then your third response is you can deny for lack of knowledge. Lack of knowledge is basically saying, I don't know. This is like a pretty safe response. You can really just say, I don't know. I don't have enough information to admit it or deny it. And it's just like basically like the best legal cop-out you could ever ask for, right? Just say, I don't know. Here is what an answer document looks like at SoloSuit. All right, if you use SoloSuit, we actually generate this professional legal document created by professional litigation attorneys, and has a great track record of getting people off the hook and getting cases dismissed. This is basically what our document looks like. At this point, it's important to remember that the burden of proof is on the plaintiff. What that means is that the plaintiff has to prove you owe the debt. It's not up to you to prove that you don't owe the debt. The case is actually all about the plaintiff proving that you owe the debt. So that's like a big difference here, right? So anything that you admit in the answer document is accepted as legal fact in the case and is no longer disputed. So if you basically if you admit everything, then basically the case is over because you aren't disputing anything. And it's really up to the plaintiff to prove everything. And the way we think about it here at SoloSuit is that denying isn't exactly like saying a paragraph isn't true. Denying is more refusing to admit that the paragraph is true. And you're basically saying, I want to make the plaintiff prove that this paragraph is true in court. Step 3, list your affirmative defenses. Our affirmative defenses are crucial. You only get a once in a lifetime chance to make these defenses. If you don't make these defenses in your answer document, then you can't make them later. That's one huge reason to use SoloSuit's answer document online, is because we help you make all of the available affirmative defenses. A lot of forms, a lot of free forms, a lot of court forms, they don't even have a section for affirmative defenses, which really like screws you over as a consumer. And even if they do, they don't really make it easy to figure out what affirmative defenses apply, which ones don't. And if you don't make it now, you cannot bring up the defense later. Okay, so these defenses are really important. They're basically, the first part of the answer is just you responding to the complaint. And now in the affirmative defenses section is when you can bring up your own points about why you should win this lawsuit. So affirmative defenses, they aren't just statements of like whatever, like the dog ate all my money, right? That's not an affirmative defense, right? Affirmative defense is a specific legal claim. Usually it's best if it's listed in like legalese on the answer document so that it sounds legit and that it's clear what defense you're bringing up. So I'm going to go over like the legal terms for each of these defenses, and I'm going to explain what they are. Accord and satisfaction. This means that you made an agreement to settle for less and you paid that amount. So you made an agreement or an accord, and then you satisfied that agreement by paying it off. And now the debt collector has broken that agreement and is suing you for the debt that you probably already paid or you already settled. Discharge in bankruptcy. So that means the debt was eliminated when you declared bankruptcy. If you declared bankruptcy, most of your debts get eliminated and people aren't able to collect that debt from you anymore. Duress. This is one of my favorites. Unfortunately, fortunately, it's not very frequently available to people. It means that you entered into the contract because your life was threatened. Somebody like held you up at gunpoint and said, hey, you gotta sign this document. That'd be duress. Actually doesn't happen that often, at least not with SoloSuit customers. Fraud. This means you entered into the contract because they legally lied to you. Estoppel. They can't come after you for the debt because of something they did earlier. Next up is latches. This means that the plaintiff waited too long to bring this lawsuit against you. It's like you snooze, you lose, right? That's a big, really common defense as well. We just throw that into most of our answers at SoloSuit. Payment. I already paid this. You can bring up this defense if you already paid off the debt, then you're being sued for it anyways. Happens all the time. Release. This is a defense that you bring up. You bring up this defense if the plaintiff said you were off the hook and now they're suing you for it, right? So let's say you talk to somebody on the phone, you explained your entire story, then oh yeah, okay, it sounds like you don't need to pay this debt anymore. We're letting you off the hook. And then a month later you get sued for it, you can bring up the affirmative defense of release. Res judicata. They already sued me and I already won. Alright, so let's say you're sued for this debt before, the case got dismissed with prejudice, or actually, let's say you're sued for this debt before, the case went all the way to trial, and you won. They can't sue you for it again. If they do, you bring up the res judicata defense. Now everyone's favorite, statute of limitations. This is saying it's too late to sue me. Okay, everyone always is searching for whether or not the statute of limitations has expired on their debt, so I'm going to go into more detail on that. Here are the statute of limitations on debt in Minnesota. This is covered in section 893.57 of the Minnesota Code. The statute of limitations is a statute or several different statutes that puts a limit on how long somebody can sue you for a debt. This is kind of like a deadline. They can't sue you after the deadline. And usually the clock starts ticking from the last time you made a payment on the account. All right, here we go. For oral debt, the statute of limitations is 6 years. These are contracts that you made verbally. For written debt, the statute of limitations is also 6 years. This is oftentimes like a lot of credit card or contract debt. Statute of limitations is 6 years. Mortgages, 6 years. So if you had a house, statute of limitations is 6 years on that mortgage debt. Open debt, statute of limitations is 6 years. Credit card debt, this is what most of the customers come to us for at SoloSuit is credit card debt. Statute of limitations is 6 years. So this is if you have a debt with MasterCard, Visa, Discover, American Express, Citibank. Statute of limitations, 6 years. Auto loans, 6 years. Court judgments, 10 years. What's a court judgment, you might ask? A court judgment is what happens if you lose your case because you didn't respond. Then they get a judgment against you, then they come after you for another 10 years. And usually, court judgments are renewable forever, so they can actually just keep on renewing that and keep on coming after for that debt if you don't respond to the lawsuit and protect yourself. So those are the statute of limitations on debt in Minnesota, generally speaking. So if you have a credit card debt, last time you made a payment on the debt was 7 years ago, statute of limitations is only 6 years. That means that they can no longer sue you for the debt. But that doesn't get brought up by default. It's up to you to bring up that defense in your answer document. All right, if you don't respond to the answer document and say statute of limitations has expired, then you will still be sued and you'll still lose. All right, you have to bring it up in your answer document. You have to protect yourself. No one else will do it for you. SoloSuit makes it really easy to bring up the right affirmative defenses in your document. We get it taken care of for you. Step 4, file with the court and serve the plaintiff. Okay, this oftentimes sounds like the easiest step, but that's a bit misleading. It's actually really difficult to file a document with the court. All right, first you have to print 2 copies of your answer document. You gotta send one to the court and send the other one to the opposing attorney. All right, that means you have to have a printer that works, and you have to know how to use the post office. So a lot of people just pay SoloSuit just to do that for them. A couple other things to consider here. Courts in Minnesota charge a huge fee to respond to a debt collection lawsuit. Honestly, I have no idea how this is considered legal. It seems kind of crazy to me, but courts charge a defendant between $285 and $289 to respond to debt collection lawsuits in Minnesota. Yeah, that's right. You heard me right. So in order to not lose your case automatically, you have to pay $200+ just to respond to the lawsuit. Not sure how that's allowed. There is a fee waiver, of course. It's super long. It's 3 to 10 pages from what I've seen. It's quite difficult to actually qualify for the fee waiver, but there's a fee waiver that you can try to fill out and see if the court will let you off the hook for the fee. It is based on income, among other factors. Of course, SoloSuit, we know what the filing fees are. We take care of calculating the filing fees for you and also making sure that that gets paid to the court and is accepted by the court. So we take care of that for you on our website. The address for the plaintiff is usually listed on the summons. The mailing address for the court is a bit harder to find. You have to go onto the court's website. The court's website for Minnesota is actually pretty nice. It's actually probably one of the nicest websites we've seen for courts in the United States. They make it pretty easy to find your court, get the mailing address, and determine what the fee is. All right, so that is it for how to respond to debt collection lawsuit in Minnesota. Again, those are the 4 steps. You gotta start by making your answer document. And then second, you gotta respond to all the numbered paragraphs in the complaint. Third, you gotta assert your affirmative defenses. And fourth, you gotta file your document with the court and with the opposing party. All right, and SoloSuit can do all this for you. You can just go to solosuit.com. We will help you generate your document. We'll have an attorney review it, and then we'll file it properly in your court in Minnesota, as well as we will calculate the filing fee for you properly and make sure it gets to your court so they accept your document. Our customers love us. This is a great review from Karina P. She said, I got hit with a lawsuit and started looking up information online. I found SoloSuit and decided to try them out. Great. At first I was just interested in their free services, but I ended up going with the higher option and made the purchase for their service. Thank you, Karina. Thanks for that review. Always happy to help people out like yourselves. And that's what I've got for you. Signing off.